Welcome, ladies. This is our webinar series, and tonight I am joined by the divine designer, Diana. She is currently West Coast, LA. This is such an LA business and company that she has started, and you will find out why. But Diana, honestly, is one of my best friends. I met her in LA while we were starting TLC out in LA at a meditation event all about signs and connecting with the universe. So it was meant to be, which was lovely. And Diana does something, not only is she my friend, but she does something super unique. And because of that, I knew I needed to bring her to share her gifts and her skills with you. So what Diana does is she's an interior designer. She used to work with restoration hardware and all that jazz. So she's, top of the line interior designer. However, she saw a need in the market that wasn't being met. So as a spiritual person herself, she decided to see how she could integrate crystals, aroma, Feng Shui, and all of these different concepts that we know of in like the spiritual and healing world into your home and into your home design. Because she believes that your home should be a sanctuary, should be somewhere that you feel drawn to, that brings out your best self. And there's no reason why your home can't add to your life, as opposed to draining and just being some place that you don't want to go home to. So her goal is to make sure that your living space reflects your ideal self, your ideal life, but also helps provide the energy and resources necessary to help you create where you want to be and what you want to be doing in your future. So not only will you feel good in it, but it'll ideally also help you to grow into the life that you want. And if you don't believe in all that spiritual stuff, it really doesn't matter, because she'll make your house look beautiful. And so the rest of it is what they call a free roll. What can you do? But if you do believe in all of that, then it's awesome. So I'm going to let Diana introduce herself, tell you a little bit more about her, and then she'll give you all the nitty gritty on what you need to know to create your ideal home.
Wow. Thank you, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Well, I could not have really introduced myself better than you just did. So I should just hire you to do all my marketing, because that was yeah, you said it all. So Vanessa's exactly right. I mean, you know me very, very well. So I think that you nailed it. That's exactly where I come from. That's exactly what I was feeling when I wanted to start this company. And that's what I do now. So for webinars, I kind of prefer when people go through like their history and stuff at the end. So I'll save like story time and like how I really like got into this for the end of the webinar, but I want to like just get right into it. So welcome to Divine Design. Are you ready to find your own at home?
Can't wait.
All right. So what I like to do before we start is just 3 deep unifying breaths, all of us together. And if you guys could just close your eyes and inhale. Exhale. 2 more times. And once more. And in Kundalini Yoga, something that we do just to start generating energy is just rubbing your palms together a little bit. And this just gets the chi energy flowing in your body. And we'll talk about chi energy a little bit later in the presentation. So just until it feels right. And what I wanted to say also before we get started is that I didn't pick this webinar date randomly. So the reason that I wanted to do October 29th is because yesterday was a new moon. So October 28th was the Scorpio new moon, and new moons are great for setting new intentions, setting new goals, starting with a clean slate, kind of like a New Year's resolution vibe. And so I just wanted to kind of start off on that foot, because the effects of a new moon and of a full moon can be felt up to 72 hours after the new moon or full moon. So we're still basking in it. So at the end of this webinar, we're going to set some intentions for our home, and just know that they are being amplified by the lunar energy. So that is, that's why I wanted to do it today. So let's get right into it. I want to set an intention at the beginning as well. So if everyone can you can close your eyes again, take a moment to reflect on your current space. Of course, we're talking about homes today, but if you feel called to focus on another space, like your office, follow your intuition. And I want you to just think of this mantra. My environment is an extension of myself. I am ready to honor it as it deserves and embrace my spaces with love. How's that feel? Good. Okay, great. All right, so what is divine design and who is the divine designer? So divine design, I'm the divine designer. Divine design is a full-scale, spiritually based interior design firm led by me, and I'm on a mission to help you find your Om at home. I do this through intuitive interior design and Feng Shui, like Vanessa said. So what is Feng Shui? That's like the number one question that I always get is, I don't even know what Feng Shui is. I've heard of it, but I have no idea what it is. So let's begin there. So Feng Shui, by definition, is an ancient Chinese system of laws governing spatial arrangement and orientation in relation to the flow of energy. Expanding on that, it's looking at your spaces and how they relate to your life and lifestyle and personality traits, and how you can make that work to benefit your life. So like we just did with our hands, that's generating chi energy. So in Feng Shui, we call energy chi. It's just a synonym. And this is that feeling that you can feel the moment you enter a space. So think about places that you love to go, like your favorite restaurant or your favorite friend's house or your favorite cafe to go work or hotel to go work at. Like, why do you like it so much? What is that feeling, that ambiance, that atmosphere that you feel the moment you walk in? And that is how you know if a space has good feng shui right off the bat. So the good news is that we all have the ability to recognize if a space is well designed and if there's good feng shui flowing through a space. We all have that natural ability via our intuition. So it's not, you know, as I got certified as a feng shui practitioner, it's not that, you know, I have this gift that nobody else has. That's not the case. We all have an intuition. We all have the ability to feel this feeling and to create spaces that make us feel that way. My goal is just to help you cultivate that ability. So that gives you a little history. And even though feng shui is primarily associated with China and Chinese philosophies, I've now begun to incorporate philosophies from across the world that basically are the same thing. So I use a lot of Indian practices and principles like Vastu design, like Kundalini yoga, I incorporate into my designs, and then also Ayurveda. So we can talk about that at the end, but that could be a whole webinar on its own. So just so you know, like there are a lot of different terminologies and a lot of different philosophies across the world, but energy is non-denominational. Energy doesn't have a geography, and you know, it's the same feeling across the world. So even though we're putting a label on it called feng shui, just know that really what we're talking about here is energy. So what is Om and how do I find it at home? That's always the next question. So Om is defined as the most sacred syllable across all languages, all religions, and all texts. So I was on a meditation last month, and it was described as the sound of saying all of our names at the same time, which I thought was really beautiful. But in relation to our homes, finding your Om, for me, represents discovering that feeling of peace and purpose and harmony and serenity and tranquility and happiness and connectedness and divinity within your soul. So when I say find your Om at home, I'm hoping that you will allow your sacred space to become a mirror for your soul. And having said that, my goal in making that sort of my motto for divine design is that I want to create high vibrational, heart-centered homes that reflect the high vibrational, heart-centered humans that live within them. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a basis of what Feng Shui is, what finding your Om is, what divine design is, and who I am as the divine designer. So let's get into how it relates to you and your home. So I want you to ask yourself a couple questions. Number one, in one word, how does my home currently make me feel? And if anybody wants to offer up a word, please do. But I just want you to think, one word, how does your home currently make you feel? Once everybody's got that, how do I wish it made me feel? How do I want my home to make me feel? What is that feeling that I want the moment I open my front door? And if your answer to number one was great, my home was already amazing, then ask yourself, how can I enhance that feeling? How can I expand upon the amazing feeling that my home already gives me? Okay. Number three, does my home support my current lifestyle and goals? So I always encourage my clients to see in metaphors. So if you come home and it's always messy, what else in your life is messy? What, how is it a mirror for who you are and how you're living your life? And taking really a microscope to that and saying, okay, is this supportive of my lifestyle? Is this supportive of my goals? Is this supportive of my vibration, honestly? And then Nicole had mentioned this before we started, but if a friend walked into my space, would they instantly know it was mine? And the importance of this is often we have significant others, we have families, we have children, our homes and our identities within our homes, it can kind of get lost in the shuffle, because especially when there's multiple identities within one home. So you want to see, your home needs to be a mirror for you and for everyone living within your space. So if someone came in, would they know it was yours? Or are you in your home? Is there a disconnect? Are you totally not represented by your surroundings? And then the last question, am I ready to make a positive change? And even if your home already makes you feel amazing, I think we can all commit to being ready to make a positive change. Okay, so I wanted to ask you guys, how many people have ordered a ton of things trying to interior design, trying to get a better feeling in their home, trying so hard, like changing the paint colors, and didn't end up liking it, it didn't end up working, or you never used the products, they didn't make a difference? Or on the other hand, how many people have done the opposite and just have never purchased anything because it's too overwhelming? So those are like the two common things that I always hear is I just keep buying things and nothing's making me feel better, or I can't even go shopping. I don't know what to buy because I don't want to buy the wrong thing. So we're going to learn today how to sort of overcome both of those obstacles, and how to do so from a place of intention, a place of awareness, and a place of understanding that everything you buy and everything that you don't buy, there's a reason for, and that it all contributes to the aura or the overall vibration of your home. So I love this. Amazon can't deliver peace of mind. Only you can create that feeling for yourself. So you are in charge of how your home makes you feel. And if you're ordering a bunch of things trying to create that feeling, you need to remember that that feeling always starts within and then extends outwards. So we're going to talk about the Bagua Map first. So it's pronounced Bagua, and this is the main tool used in Feng Shui. What this is a map that you lay over the floor plan of your home. So you'll see at the bottom a line with entry door. So I have this laminated for my consultations. So you align this with your front door and the front of your home, and you see where each gua, or each section that comprises the Bagua Map, each gua, see where that falls. So maybe your travel section falls over your garage. Career always falls over your entry because you align it with your front door. So that's something that we all have in common. But there's so many different types of floor plans that sometimes you might have an L-shaped floor plan and you're missing a section. So then there's Feng Shui remedies for how to sort of bring that section in, even though architecturally you don't have it. There's also extensions. So if you had a perfect square floor plan and then it jut out like this, then you have an extension of abundance and fame. So you'll probably experience a lot of abundance and fame while living in that floor plan. So we're going to take a look at this. I want you to think about how this relates to your home. If you have a journal or a piece of paper handy and you want to just quickly sketch your layout, or even if you can just think of it in your head, this will really help you to see where each aspect of your life is falling currently. And what's often very cool is that you'll see, oh my gosh, like I know, Vanessa, we were talking about your creativity is in your bathroom, and you were like, oh my God, that's where I take baths and think about all my ideas for TLC. So it's like these light bulbs will start turning on where you realize that you're already doing these specific aspects of your life, these activities in those areas. Like your intuition is naturally drawing you to those spaces. So, I've realized I always meditate in my wisdom corner. And I did not realize that prior to learning about the Bagua Map. Or I often work and set up my desk in my abundance corner. And so there are these things that will start clicking for you as we go through this. So each gua corresponds with a different color. So you'll see purple, red, pink, all the colors. And then also with a different Feng Shui element. So there's 5 elements of Feng Shui: wood, fire, earth, water, and metal. And each gua will correspond with a different element. So when we really dive into this, you can see, okay, my abundance gua is a wood element. So I want to bring aspects of the wood element into this section of my home. So maybe that's your office. And so we're going to say, let's do a wood desk as opposed to a metal desk. Or let's bring in natural, a lot of natural plants and greenery. Like, let's bring those elements in. And then purple, maybe you go so far as to paint a wall purple, or maybe you just bring in purple accents. Maybe it's purple flowers. So there's a lot of different ways that you can enhance each of these sections of your home once you sort of realize where they fall, and we can start to play around with that. So I'm just going to show you.
I wanted to add something here because I remember when I had done the Bagua Map with you, and we talked about balconies or like overhead outdoors. Can you explain how those are added into the Bagua Map?
Sure, great question. So let me keep it on this slide. So for example, in the upper left-hand corner where there's those 2 French doors, that is actually a balcony. And so the reason that it's included, though, is because it's covered. So if the roof line covers the section, you can go ahead and include it in your layout.
Yeah.
If no roof and it's just an exposed balcony, I wouldn't include that because it's not technically a structural part of your layout. So in terms of Feng Shui. So that's a great question. And that's something to consider because there's often patios, balconies, porches, a lot of things. And that's where this can get, we could do a whole webinar just on the Bagua Map because it can get a little bit confusing. But if we just think about it very basically and lay over lay this over your floor plan, you can see the general areas, and that's a good enough starting point for now. So this client, you can see he actually has a pretty perfect rectangular layout, which is great for the Bagua. So you can see that that corner I just talked about, the balcony, that's his wealth area or abundance, and they're interchangeable words. And then the back of the room would be fame. The upper right is love. That happens to be a closet. So I have to figure out, that's the earth element. So how to bring in the earth element into a closet. So it's things like that. So I just wanted you to see it next to a real layout so you can kind of start to piece it together in your mind, how you would lay it over a real floor plan and see where things fall. And then there are different ways to enhance each of these sections. So let's take career, because we all have that in common. So you always line up the career gua with your front door. And this is represented by the color black or tones of black, like dark grays, charcoals, and blacks. And this is the water element. So it's really important to have some type of water element in your entry. So this could be quite literally a water fountain, an aquarium. It can also be more symbolic, like a artwork or a painting of water. It could be a blue wallpaper that represents water. It could be a mirror, because mirror is reflective, and in Feng Shui, that symbolizes the water element. So we can get really creative with these types of things, and think outside of the box. And, because everybody's floor plan is different, sometimes you can't have an aquarium right at your entry. And so there are ways that we can, speak to each gua as it pertains to your home. So going into the wisdom gua, for example, spirituality, knowledge, this is where you want to keep all of your books, your meditation, even if you want to have like journaling and anything. If you're a student, if you want to put a desk here, and this is where you do your homework, like this is knowledge, this is spirituality, this is wisdom. I've done floor plans where we just put like a chaise lounge and a bookshelf, and that is all, that fits, and that's all you really need. It's what the intention is behind it. So you get to decide what spirituality, wisdom, and knowledge means to you, and you get to decide how you want to enhance that within your home. And then going up to family. So this is the wood element. This is the color green. So wherever your family section falls, you want to bring in hints of green. You want, again, with the wood, you want to bring in hints of wood. You want to bring in things that represent family for you. So maybe this is framed photos. Maybe this is where you do a gallery wall. Maybe this is your living room, and that's perfect. In this, you have a big couch to accommodate your entire family. So like I said, you get to decide how you want each gua represented in your home. So that's kind of the fun part is, if you want to start like talking about manifestation, let's say for family, you want a baby soon, you can put things in this section that are symbolic to you of creating a family. And so you can really start to dive deep into this and use it as a tool for manifestation, which I would say is like level 2 of the Bagua. But for now, it's really just identifying where each of these sections fall and how to create a general enhancements in each area. And then health. So that's always at the center of the home or of the space. And this is represented by yellow. You want this space lit up. So lots of lighting, lots of plants, living things. Again, you could do a fish or aquarium here. Anything that represents health to you. Maybe it's you keep your yoga mats here or your running shoes here. Maybe it's maybe it falls in your kitchen, and that would be a great time to edit your pantry and your fridge and start placing things that represent who your higher, healthier self is in this section of your home. So maybe it's you make a shelf for vitamins, and it's all very symbolic, and so you get to set intentions as you do this work. It becomes truly, like I say, a moving meditation. And then the travel section, this is dark grays and the metal element. So oftentimes in floor plans, the travel section falls in the garage, which works pretty nicely because this is where you can keep luggage and cars, and that might relate to you. It might not. In my home, the travel section is my dining room. So I've incorporated a globe and, small things. It doesn't have to be over the top. You don't have to get a mural made of, your favorite places in the world to travel. It doesn't need to be extravagant. It just needs to mean something to you. And then creativity right above travel. So this is represented by the color white and light grays. This is also creativity and children is kind of, you'll see if you go Google the Bagua Map online, that some wording can change, but creativity. So this is where you want to, maybe do some brainstorming for your business. This is, if you have children, maybe this is where they do arts and crafts. This is where, you whatever creative outlet you have, maybe you're a dancer. You can make a dedicated area of your house in this squad to do dancing. Like it can be however it relates to your life. And then love and fame. So we'll talk about love first. Usually that's what most people are interested in. So the love gua is represented by the color pink and by the earth element. So for the earth element, it can kind of get confusing, earth and wood, because wood is a lot of plants and wooden things like trees. Earth, you can also use things like that, but the best way to describe earth is contain, like a container. So the earth contains all of us. So you want to think about items that can contain things. So baskets, vases, anything that's supportive, anything that's grounding. You can keep your sage and your Palo Santo and some essential oils in any of the earth element guas, anything that grounds you back to the earth, and also anything that contains. So those are the two things to remember for your earth element. But in terms of love, so talking back about manifestation, so in this love section, I've done a lot of things in homes. So you can actually do like vision boards up in each of these sections. So I've had women who have put like their dream soulmate and their dream engagement ring and wedding, like little symbolic, pictures in this section. You can also get a candle from like your local metaphysical store, those candles that say love on them, or they'll have like a really beautiful quote or a verse. You can get a candle like that and just burn the candle in your love gua. Like I said, there's so many ways. If you're already married or have a significant other, maybe it's pictures of the two of you there together. Maybe it's you just spend a lot of time together in this section of your home. You create a dedicated corner or, a couple chairs, or if this is your balcony, maybe you have a bistro set out there for the two of you. So there's really beautiful, lots of different ways that you can speak to each of these sections. And then lastly is fame. So this is the fire element. This is actually the only section of the Bagua Map that is represented by the element of fire and by the color red. So it's great if you have windows that let in a lot of natural light, because sunlight, fire element. Also, an actual fireplace would be ideal in this section. And then any crystals also I like to keep in this section because they charge, and it's good to have them in direct sunlight if you have the windows. So any type of crystals, again, with the vision board as it relates to career, fame, and success. maybe this is where you sit down and create your goals for your business. Maybe this is where you take potential client calls or investor calls. You take this in your fame section, or you go live on Instagram in your fame section, for the exposure. So like I said, lots of different ways that you can get creative with this. Does anybody have any questions now before I move on?
I wanted to add something because I know when we were talking about this, the coolest thing of what Diana does is helping you be very intentional. So I thought one of the really cool exercises that you got me to do was even looking at my current art that I had. And so, for example, in my bedroom, I had, because I got rid of it, a beautiful, like old black and white painting of this woman. And then Diana said, well, like, why do you like this painting? And you can add some more of the questions, but at the end of the day, she said, do you want to be living your life in black and white? And do you want to be this like independent woman? Does that align with the woman and the life that you see yourself as and with? And I was like, well, no, like I want to live in color. I want to be surrounded by amazing people and be with a partner. Like I don't want my truth to be in black and white and just like as a single independent woman. And so just being really reflective and intentional about like every piece that is in your living space.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. It's so important. I mean, I've seen over a bed, a woman, she's just wants to get married so bad. She wants to meet somebody so bad. And above her bed is a image of just a single woman,
Mm-hmm.
Very glamorous, but single woman. And I'm like, well, what is this? This is not, back to the first slide. Is this in alignment with your goals and with what you're seeking in life and what you're trying to manifest? Yeah. So really, it's like, I always say, like, ruthlessly edit your spaces. Look at them with a magnifying glass and be like, what does this mean to me? It's totally Marie Kondo, right? When she's pick up a piece of clothing and go like, do I love this? Like, how do I feel holding this? Do I need this? And if you do, okay, fold it, put it back gracefully. And if you don't, thank you for serving me. You are no longer in alignment and I release you. Gracefully releasing. So it's the same thing with your home as your wardrobe, and I'm glad you brought that up, Vanessa, because that's very, very true. Artwork is so, so powerful, which is why people buy it in the first place, which is why it goes for millions, billions of dollars. It's so powerful, but we need to remember that it's powerful on an energetic level. That's why it's powerful in the first place. Great point.
We also have another question coming in, and just to get clarification on crystals, can you I know you mentioned crystals in the fame section, but just wanted confirmation that you can bring crystals into all those different areas based on like the colors and energy and elements that you had chatted about.
100%. Great question. I was going to get more into crystals later.
Right. Yeah.
But we'll talk about it now. So absolutely, there are crystals that correspond with all of these colors. We've got amethyst, rose quartz, clear quartz, citrine. There's so many crystals that you can use in each of these sections. And I'm actually was just last month learning about crystal gridding. I think I told you this, Vanessa, where you can specifically put crystals in different sections of your home and create these energetic grids of crystals within your home. And so there's a lot that you can do with crystals, and I just like to charge them in my fame section, because usually that's the section that you want to be getting the most natural sunlight because of the fire element. That's all I meant. But absolutely use crystals throughout your home. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So we're going to get into some more fun stuff. If everybody's clear on the Bagua map, I'm going to move on into address numerology. So this is always a really fun topic. So I want everybody to think about your address. And now we need to add it up until we get a single digit. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4 Westwood Avenue. You would add 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Well, that equals 10. So 1 plus 0, you live in a 1. So I'm going to give everybody a second to add up their address. Vanessa, you're in a 9, right?
What if people live in a condo? How do they add up that address?
So in this chart on the side of the screen, this shows if you have a letter incorporated in your address. So if you're 1234A, 1234B, then you're going to take the corresponding number of that letter and add that as well.
Okay.
Now, if you have you'll see, also note, if you live in a building, you'll want to consider both the building number and the unit number, but your unit number is way more important. So like the other day I was at a consultation and the overall condo complex was a 6. So I told him, okay, there's probably a ton of families here, lots of pets, lots of kids. He was like, yes, totally. But he lived in a 5, which is the opposite of a 6, which is more like ambitious, career driven, you know, kind of like riding the high of your career and entrepreneurial. And so he was like, yeah, he totally saw the juxtaposition between living in a 5 unit in a 6 building.
Yeah. I'm a 9.
You're a 9. So do you want
Sure.
Okay, so add that. And I just want to talk a little bit about numbers, because numbers are so powerful, and most people are like, oh my God, this is so cool. It totally relates to my address. And then some people are like, I don't get it. How do numbers even matter? So think about your social security number, your birthday, the date, like October 29th, 2019. Numbers are so important. Holidays fall on certain numbers. You have to, you know, understand that different numbers hold different vibrations. And that's what we're talking about here. So you can even add up your phone number. You can add up your city. So you can use the same chart of the letters and add up the city that you live in and see how that vibrates. And like sometimes you just feel like, ugh, why don't I like this city? Why don't I feel good here? But when I go, you know, to this city, like the vibration or the vibe is so much better. Oftentimes it could be because the cities add up to different numbers, and you might resonate a little bit more with a different city than you do with another. So, and then there's life path numbers. So if you've seen a numerologist or done any numerology for yourself, we all have different life path numbers. And then the years also, like 2019, we're in a 3 year this year. So you'd want to take your life path number, which is just the month and day of your birthday, and add it with 2019. And then that'll tell you what year path you're on. I know I'm getting way down the rabbit hole for some people, but there's a lot of really fun things that you can do with numbers, and they'll show you, you know, certain parts of your life and why things are happening the way that they're happening. Oftentimes, if you're in a 9 year, you'll quit your job, you'll move, you'll end a relationship, and you know, then the next year is a 1 year, it's all new beginnings. And so as it relates to your home though, let's just focus on that. So once you have your number, it only goes 1 through 9, because then of course you have to add to get a single digit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. However, if it adds up to an 11 or a 22, just make a note of that, because those are master numbers. So I'm going to go through each of the numbers for you guys. If it's not your number, just sit tight and listen. But if it is your number, then I'm going to tell you what it means. So if you live in a 1, this is all about individuality, independence, and freedom. It's going to be a very ambitious energy, lots of leadership and entrepreneurship. And again, lots of new beginnings and optimistic endeavors. So this is a great home if you work from home, because it's very entrepreneurial, it's very independent. You'll have a lot of discipline working in this home if you work from home. Negatives, I don't like to say negatives, but on the other side of the spectrum, you have to be careful of becoming too introverted when you live in a 1. And it's a good idea to have a pet for companionship because it can get a little bit lonely. And also be mindful of selfish tendencies while in a 1, because you're going to be very 1-centered. So more coming back to, the highest good for all versus the highest good for me. So that's something you'll always want to come back to in this home. 2s. This is a very naturally balanced home because we've got the yin and the yang. And so that's a very well balanced home. And you'll start to see that 1 is opposite of 2, 3 is opposite of 4, 5 is opposite of 6, etc. So this is a very supportive home for couples or for best friends, roommates. New families also will do really well here, like newlyweds. This is a great supportive environment for that. Also a very emotionally expressive home, very affectionate and loving, which also good for newlyweds, couples, best friends. Very emotionally expressive and affectionate. On the other hand, feelings, because it's so emotional, it could become a hypersensitive environment. So it's important to just ground yourself and stay in your lane, because it could get a little bit too sensitive in this environment. Need to proactively ground your energy and be sure that you're setting clear boundaries with yourself and with others in this space, because you can get so caught up in the togetherness that it can turn into codependency. So you want to pull a little of that energy from the 1 and make sure that you're just maintaining that independence and those boundaries. Okay, 3s. So this is like the fun social house where everybody comes for the Super Bowl and parties, and this is a really fun, lively social home. Lots of gatherings here. And it has a very creative and artistic vibration. So really great if you're in one of those creative artistic fields. This is going to be a very supportive environment for you. I also love 3s because it's the mind, body, soul trinity. So it's also balanced, like a 2 is balanced, but 3s are also balanced because of the mind, body, soul. And then on the other side, you want to be mindful of your finances in this home. Overspending is a trend in a 3 because you just want to have fun. You just want to have people over and have big parties. And so just be mindful of finances in this home and remember to focus on your priorities. So it's work hard, play hard, and actively seek balance in your schedule here, because it's going to get very easy to opt for the fun and forget that you have obligations in your schedule. Going to a 4, this is a very stable, grounded energy. So think about the 4 walls of your home or of a structure. It's very foundational. It's very rooted. So opposite of the 3s, this one is a little bit more steady. Very protective, productive vibration. You'll get a lot done here. You'll feel very safe here, very disciplined here, lots of responsibility. So oftentimes I'll see families who maybe have 2, 3 kids here with a lot of different obligations, but they're still grounded, just more responsibility here. Not necessarily less fun, just more responsibility. Here in this home in a 4, you want to remember to express your emotions. It can get a little bit cold just because it's so like steady. So you want to make sure that you're still bringing that nurturing, loving, affectionate energy into this home and not letting it get I don't want to say sterile, but you want to keep the life in this home. The unwavering stability of this home can prevent much change. So it's good if you like the routine, the same thing. It's not good if you are looking for a change up, because again, it's going to be just a very steady home. Also, it's easy to become a workaholic in this space because of the responsibility and the discipline and the go, go, go. You kind of can forget to have fun. So that's something you want to think about in a 4. 5s, opposite. So this is the ultimate entertaining home, much like the 3s. So you're going to start to see the parallels between the odds and the evens. But this is a home that is very adventurous and supportive of travel lovers. So spontaneity and just a lot of adventures. So maybe because it's an entertaining home plus an adventurous home, you might be entertaining people that you met on vacation and are now your friends, and so they're coming over. So it's kind of that vibration in a 5. Much like the 4, though, you can feel excuse me, you can feel busy being busy here. And it's easy to forget to live in the moment when you're living in a 5 home, because you can get really just caught up with life. Always want to come back to balance and to your inner peace, and that nothing is worth your inner peace. So remember that when you're living in a 5. So even if all this traveling for work sounds fun and glamorous, nothing is worth your inner peace. So just keep that in mind. In 6s, this is a very creative and altruistic home, very loving and compassionate. It's perfect for families with lots of kids and pets. So like I was saying about my client who lived in a 6 condo complex, kids and pets everywhere. It's a very supportive environment for that. But on the contrary, you want to remember the importance of self-love versus giving all your love to others, all your love to your partner, all your love to your children, all your love to your pets. You want to come back to self-love, fill your cup first, and then let it pour out into everyone else's. And then also balancing your family life with your career goals in a 6 is important, because you can get really caught up in the family life and maybe becoming a stay-at-home mom, even though that wasn't what you wanted to happen. That's very, very common when living in a 6 home. So make an effort to socialize outside of the house when you're living in a 6, because it can become one of those homes where you just never want to leave because it's so loving and so comfy and cozy. But make an effort to get out into the world a little bit when you're living in a 6. A 7, this is the most spiritual in terms of like Zen, meditative, tranquil homes. Very introspective and self-reflective. So lots of spiritual awakenings happen while living in a 7. It is the most high vibrational number until we get to the master numbers. 7 is the most high vibrational angelic of the numbers. So lots of journaling, lots of, if you're super spiritual, or if you moved into a new house and then you find you're like coming into your spirituality and you add it up and it's a 7, it's like to be expected. Not very many social activities in this home, again, because you're just way more into spirituality and kind of being alone. So be mindful of the isolation and remember to focus on the rest of your life and not just your spirituality here. So that's something that I have to tell myself to do all the time, is that there's, as much as we are divine beings, like we're also human beings. And so there's so many aspects of our life that we get to focus on. And living in a 7, just remember it's not just about spirituality. Okay, we're almost through. And then we've got an 8. So this is a major home for fame and recognition, money and financial abundance, lots of wealthy energy in an 8. Very supportive of business and career success. This is where, you know, you might have your big break, you might get a huge promotion, you might have hit a windfall of money. That is the 8 energy. Remember to actively practice gratitude while living in an 8. You don't want to get too caught up in the physical world here. So here would be the opposite of a 7. You need to remember to prioritize your spirituality, because that's something that can get lost in an 8. You can get almost too caught up in being a physical being that you forget you're a divine being as well. So this is the opposite. Again, here you want to be mindful about spending too much money because you're making so much money. You want to also just be mindful about the inflow and the outflow. 9s. Okay, so I know Vanessa, her home is a 9, so we talked about this. Very supportive of intuitive healers and light workers. So 9 is a really loving vibration. It is actually the energy of universal love, compassion, and giving. So that's what the 9 represents. And tons of opportunities here for world travel and humanitarianism. So lots of charity here too, and giving back to the world. The other side of the coin here would be, remember to prioritize your self-care rituals, because you're going to be spending most of your time giving back to the world. Remember yourself and prioritize that alone time. Be careful not to give all of your energy to others. You need to, like what I said a couple minutes ago, fill your cup first. And remain idealistic about everything you want to do in your life and all of your goals, but ground yourself on a regular basis, because it can get too caught up in all the plans, all the things on your list, but never doing the things on your list here, because you have grander plans in this home. You forget to do them. And then, like I said, for anybody whose address added up to an 11 or a 22, I'm going to talk about that now. 11 is a magical number. So most of us go 11, 11, make a wish. And there's a reason. It's because it is a high vibrational, very magical, beautiful number. It's the number of love and light. So that's what it represents. And it encourages growth and innovation and inspiration and spirituality. It's the epitome of intuition and inspiration, like I said. So this is where, everything in your life is like just culminating, like so beautifully. This is also a number that's supportive of spiritual partnerships. So this is meeting, your soulmate, your spiritual partner, like Gary Zukov says, and just finding your alignment in this while living in this address is very easy to do, because it's just a supportive vibration for that. And then a 22. So 22 is also a master number. This is the master number of stability. This supports entrepreneurial aspirations very, very well, and it encourages strength, power, and growth. Like I said, because of the stability, it grounds all aspects of your life. So family, love, career, it's a very grounding energy. Also very stable when it comes to finances, when it comes to family and spirituality, marriage. It's just a very stable, grounded energy. And those are sort of the overviews of each number that you could potentially live in. So does anybody have any questions? And if you want any of that information, again, go to my Instagram at The Divine Designer, and I have a highlight bubble called Numbers. You can see all of this that I just said. Does anyone have questions? It looks like there are some.
So with the life path, when you're adding up like month, day, year, So June is 14. So do I then add up 1 plus 4, or do I add 14 and then the rest and then do the math after?
So June is 6. So you would go 6 plus.
Is it 6? How is it 6? Am I being silly here?
February, March, April, May, June.
Oh, not like adding. Oh, because I did the thing in the center. Okay.
The thing in the center would be like for your city or.
Got it. Okay. So it's 6. Okay.
June is a 6. Yeah, because it's the 6th month. So take your birth date.
Yeah. Okay. And then the year you would do all 3 numbers.
So for life paths, yes, you would do your month plus your day plus 1, 9, whatever. So you would add all those up until you get a single digit.
Right.
That tells you your life path number.
Yeah. Okay.
But to find out your specific year number, just take your month and your date. And then you add that with 2019 versus adding it with the month with the year you were born. Does that make sense? So let's do yours as an example.
So mine's June 17th.
Right. So to get your life path, we would go 6 plus 1 plus 7 plus 1 plus 9 plus what's your year?
Oh, 8 and 6.
Okay. So let's just not try to do math. Let's do the count. 1 plus 7 plus 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 6. So it adds up to 38, which so your life path is a master number 11.
Which is an 11. Oh, bam!
To get what year you're in, we would go plus 1 plus 7 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 9. 29.
Got it.
So 6 plus 1 plus 7 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 9. So you're in an 8 year. So because it adds up, 2 plus 6 is 8. So you're in the most financially abundant year this year.
Okay.
8s can also play back and forth when it relates to your life. It could be a lot of financial ups and downs too. So just because you're in an 8 year, it's so funny, I'm in an 8 year too. Just because you're in an 8 year doesn't necessarily mean, okay, woo, I'm going to make a ton of money this year. It could, your finances are going to be a huge opportunity for you. Like there could be a lot of financial learnings this year. There could be, lessons, and there could be huge windfalls, and then there could be huge periods of, oh my God, I'm gonna have to sell my house. So there's all these different ways when we're looking at your life path and your year, it expands to so much more than just looking at your address. Does that make sense?
Cool. Yeah. It's very cool. I literally did like everything. Yeah, I even did the city of Toronto is a 9. Los Angeles is a 1.
Los Angeles is a 1. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
There's all these like entrepreneurs and new business owners and like lots of like booming business. I actually don't know what New York is, but I figured it out. Probably. Yeah. Or maybe it's an 8. But yeah, interesting. So you live in a 9 city, so that's pretty cool. Does anybody else have any questions? No? Great. All right. So how are we doing on time?
Yeah, we're doing okay. You can keep going. We're at almost an hour, but you can totally go over.
Yeah. Don't mind if I do. Yeah. So I want to talk about a couple interior therapies. So when looking at all the beyond Feng Shui, beyond address numerology, there are so many other ways that we can bring spirituality into our homes and just bring well-being into our homes. And this is sort of a way that makes it not so woo-woo if you're not like quite there with the numerology and the Feng Shui. Like, this is a very practical, applicable way to bring a state of well-being and bring certain aspects of honestly, like holistic health into your home. So the first thing I want to talk about is the psychology of color. I do have a paint guide if you guys are interested in that. Whoever's interested, just let me know and I can send that to you. It's very extensive, but each color vibrates at a different frequency. That's just the basics of it. So think about restaurants. So look at McDonald's. This is the easiest example. McDonald's is yellow and red. So red stimulates appetite and kind of sparks hunger. It also catches your attention. Yellow is the brightest color and can be seen from the farthest away. So when McDonald's was coming up with their color scheme, they go, okay, well, we want people to be able to see us from way down the street, and we want them to be hungry when, their appetite to be stimulated when they see our sign. Hence the yellow and red. So that's just a very simple example of how you can see the way that color plays a role in marketing, in, brain manipulation. Honestly, we feel certain things, when our eyes see certain things, it tells our brain something. And so even on a scientific level, you can see the power of color. Something I learned that was kind of cool, because I don't think we have time to go through all the colors and what they mean, but like I said, I will send a paint guide. Something that I learned was that for introverts and extroverts, color in the home is very different. So you would think, okay, well, to balance, for an extrovert, I'm going to do, a soft muted color because they're already crazy. But here's the thing. If you're an extrovert, you actually receive your energy externally. So you would need bright, bold, fun colors to draw out your own energy. Whereas an introvert harnesses all their energy within. So you could do gray walls, white walls, and it doesn't matter, because an introvert's going to have the same amount of energy coming from within and extending outwards at all times. And then, there's people like me, I'm an ambivert, so I'm both. So I like really neutral walls and then pops of color. Like Vanessa's been in my house, like I have pink drapery. Like I like a little bit of both. So there's a lot of ways that you can incorporate color into your home and do it with intention. It's, the power of paint. And so that's why sometimes just changing the wall color can change the entire mood, the entire aesthetic of your home. It's not so much the paint, it's the color of the paint. So whoever's interested, I'll send that paint guide and you can kind of deep dive into what each color means and how you can incorporate it to your home. But that is just one form of interior therapy. Another, of course, is plant healing. So plants have so many benefits for our bodies and for our homes. The number one is they're air purifying. So the oxygen that they give off is really great. So I love to load up my homes and my projects with plants. Interestingly enough, in Feng Shui, there is no difference between a faux plant versus a real plant. So obviously a real plant has way more benefits, but in Feng Shui, it's more about the intention. So if you put a faux plant, you're always traveling, it's going to die. You buy a faux plant, put that in your space, but you have an intention that I just bought this money tree because I want to cultivate, financial abundance. That's your intention. You don't need the plant to be real. So, plant healing is very, very powerful and super important. I always encourage you to have at least one plant, even if it's a tiny succulent like this, just as one plant in each of your spaces is super crucial. And then that leads right into aromatherapy, because flowers obviously are a type of plant healing, but they're also a type of aromatherapy, as well as, like you see on the screen, diffusers, essential oils, candles, all of the different ways that you can bring scent into your space. And scent is a super powerful trigger. So coming into a home and having that signature scent, you always know, oh, my home always smells this way. And this is why brands will create signature scents. Or hotels. So when you go into a hotel, when you go into a store, you're almost like, sometimes it's too much, like you're like bombarded with the scent, but it's because it's such a trigger, that you'll know, oh, this is exactly what this place smells like every time. And you can create that for your home. So I've actually done this for clients where they wanted to create a signature scent, and there are HVAC systems where you can create a blend and have it pumping through your air conditioning. So your home really does have a branded scent. So that's very fun too, but that's a little extreme. You can just get a couple candles, get some essential oils, have your diffuser on. That's perfect. And it's a beautiful way to get the energy going also, and stimulating one of the senses. And I always try to stimulate all of our senses. When you're in a home, you want to think about all the bodily senses and how you can sort of speak to each of those in each of your spaces. So that's a fun little exercise that you can do on your own. And then crystals, we talked about a little bit. So crystal therapy is one of my favorite therapies. I love crystals, and Vanessa and I have talked about this. Like, even if you don't believe in them, like, so what, they're beautiful. So might as well put them as decor. But I believe that it's all about intention, just like the plants. So when you buy a crystal, it's more about, setting your intention. What did I buy this crystal for? What does this mean to me? I bought this piece of rose quartz because to me, this symbolizes bringing love into my life. Well, there you go. You just brought love into your life through your intention, not so much through the crystal, but the crystal is a beautiful tool to sort of symbolize that for you in your life. So I'm all about using crystals. I have them all over my house, and I have them in my car, in my wallet, in my purse. This is a modality of therapy that you can use across the board. And if you have any questions about any specific crystals, please let me know, because there are so many, and they're all good for different things. So, there are crystals that I use, for if clients are having trouble sleeping. There are crystals that I use in the kitchen. There are, crystals that I use in the bathroom, crystals for electromagnetic frequencies, which we'll talk about in a second. So all different uses and benefits for different crystals. And then, just like thinking about our five senses, you want to think of the 5 elements of Feng Shui. So like we talked about earlier, there's wood, water, earth, metal, and fire. So when you're looking at each of your spaces, you want to see in metaphors. So you want to see, like, okay, that candle represents fire. That plant represents wood or earth. That vase represents earth. My metal coffee table represents metal. So you want to start seeing how each of the elements are represented in your space and create a balance. You can walk into a space and everything's metal, and you're like, oh my God, this is so cold. This is so sharp. Why does it feel this way? Because there's no balance of the other 4 elements. But all of a sudden, you bring in a plant and set it on the table. You bring in, a rug and lay it on the ground to ground the space. You bring in a candle for fire. And, all of a sudden you start creating this balanced and well-rounded elemental space. And that's when you can look at the principles of yin and yang. So most of us have heard about yin and yang. So if you look at your space, and yin is very soft and warm and cozy and dark, and neutral walls or dark walls and lots of blankets, and maybe it's like a fluffy rug, and that is a very yin space. That's just super cozy, quiet and calm. Yang is the opposite. Yang is like the extrovert. Yin is like the introvert. So yang is like bright, bold, busy, lively and colorful. And so you never want to have a 100% yin space or a 100% yang space. It's important to find the balance. So maybe you have super colorful walls and then really muted furniture. Or opposite, maybe you have a really muted wall color and then you have pops of color in your furniture. And that's your yin yang balance there. So you can start to look at things like that as well. Sound healing, that's also one of my favorites. So I do a lot of sound baths for physical healing, but I love using sound to heal the home. So I actually have some spa music on right now, but I also have my Tibetan bowls, and I'll do some sound healing. I have bells. You can also just put on a playlist and listen to music, and that is sound healing for you and your home. So there are tons of ways to incorporate sound healing into your home. I've done Bluetooth speakers in rooms where, you can constantly have music streaming in your home. And that's just so therapeutic in itself. So important to think about, and also how it affects the sense of hearing as well. So you can see it's multi-beneficial. And then EMF. So this is something that I was just posting about on my Instagram, and some people were super confused, some people weren't. So EMF is electromagnetic frequencies. So these are all the frequencies and buzzing and energies that are given off by our electronics, phones, laptops, Wi-Fi, outlets, switch plates, chandeliers. There's so much energy that comes off of this electrical equipment, and you want to be super mindful of, is my bed up against a wall that has a ton of switches, a ton of lights, outlets, wiring? That's probably not a good idea. It's just like they say, don't sleep with your iPhone next to your head. It's the same type of idea. So I have this fun little gadget that I'll do in my clients' homes. And let me turn it on. This is an EMF reader. And it's not some crazy ghost hunting thing. It's that I'll scan it along the walls, kind of like a stud finder, and it will find concentrations of electricity and electromagnetic energy. And what I'll do is, let's say that there is a high concentration in a certain area. I'm going to make sure that the client's bed is not against that wall, or I'm going to make sure that, they're not, like their head isn't near there, or maybe that it's not near a shower where there's water and that could potentially be dangerous. So that's what I use this for, but it is a form of therapy because you can make adjustments to your furniture based on the EMF. And additionally, you can update your light switches to low voltage LEDs so that you have less electricity buzzing and running through your home. I also have a product that I use. It's a Wi-Fi timer, and at night it shuts off the Wi-Fi in your whole house. So one of my clients told me about this. It shuts off the Wi-Fi in your whole house so that when you're sleeping, it's not buzzing with electricity around you. So that's pretty cool. And then I want to talk about doing Reiki on your spaces, and I want to talk a couple other interior therapies I love are designing for your sign. So this is for your zodiac sign, and just like your address number, just like your Bagua pertains to your floor plan, designing for your sign is another complex topic that we could get into another day. But you can really look at your astrological sign and also see the element that your sign corresponds to, and see how to enhance your natural tendencies, your natural preferences, your natural abilities, and how to sort of speak to your sign through your design. And then design for your dosha. So this is an Ayurvedic principle. So Vanessa and I were actually just playing around with the Ayurvedic doshas last month. And there's Pitta, Kapha, and Vata. And those are the 3 doshas of Ayurveda. And so what this typically pertains to is your diet. However, I've started to bring it into the home. So when designing for your dosha, there's a quiz on my Instagram you guys can go take and find out what your dosha is. But designing for your dosha is just like designing for your zodiac. So everybody has a different dosha. And it's important to know if you are a fiery, go, go, go entrepreneurial person, I'm going to need to balance you out with some soft, cozy textural pieces so that you have a space to relax. So this is where your dosha can come into it. And so that's another form of interior therapy. So before we conclude, I want to talk about how to do Reiki on your spaces. So Vanessa, I know you've gotten Reiki. I know you've actually gotten certified as a Reiki practitioner, which is very cool. But you can apply the principles of Reiki to your spaces. So Reiki basically balances out the body's chakra system, right? So we've got all 7 chakras, and I want to teach you how to use your chakras to not only raise your vibration, but to raise the vibration of your overall home. And this is an exercise you could do once every couple months, once a week, once a month, once a day. It's up to you and what your space needs. But let's do this as a meditation. So I want everybody to think of one space in your home and close your eyes. We're going to start at the root chakra, and this is located at the base of your spine. You can also feel it into the bottom of your feet and visualize the color red. Thinking about this space, I want you to ask yourself, is this space grounded? For example, is there a large area rug or appropriately weighted furniture? Do I feel that this space is grounded? Moving up to your sacral chakra, this is located near your pelvis, and I want you to visualize the color orange. Ask yourself, is this space aesthetically appealing? Is there visual interest, symmetry, and stimulation? Am I attracted to what I see? Moving up to your solar plexus chakra, which is located right below your belly button, I want you to visualize the color yellow and ask yourself, how does this space make me feel? What is my gut reaction when I enter? Coming up to your heart chakra, visualizing the color green. Do I absolutely love this space? Or at the very least, is there a sacred object or a piece of furniture that resonates with me on a heart and soul level? Coming up to your throat chakra, I want you to visualize a dark blue. What is this space communicating? For example, a dining room tells you it's a dining room through a table and chairs. Is this room telling you what it is? Going up to your third eye chakra, I want you to ask, is this space designed intuitively? Does it support how I live in this space? Is it functional? And is the energy free flowing? And then coming all the way up to your crown chakra on the top of your head, I want you to visualize a violet purple and ask yourself, is this space divine? Is it divinely designed? Could I meditate in here? Am I connected to this space? Is it a spiritual experience standing in the middle of this room? And open your eyes. Good. So that's just a quick way. I mean, that took us 3 minutes. That's a quick meditation that you can do with your space, with each space, with your whole home, and begin to raise the vibration and make adjustments based on your answers. Cool. All right. So I'm ready for questions. If anybody has anything that they want to ask before we wrap up. And I do have a special downloadable guide. It's a 10-step journal prompt on reconnecting with your sacred space. So I have that for everybody. And I am offering a special TLC offer, $75 either Zoom or Skype or FaceTime or just a phone call, going through the Feng Shui for any one gua of your home. So it's the gua of your choosing. And we can have an hour together, just one-on-one, enhancing that specific area of your life and setting new intentions and talking about manifestations for that specific aspect of your life. And that link is at the bottom of this page, calendly.com/thedivinedesigner/TLC.
We have some questions coming in. So when looking for a new place, how do you recommend taking all this into consideration when making your decision?
I would try not to get overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
by all this information and go based on your intuition and your gut feeling first. So the first thing you want to do is, okay, how does this place make me feel? Do I love this home? Because if you love this home, then nothing else matters.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly the truth. So Feng Shui is to help you enhance a space, but it's not if you already, loving a home is the best Feng Shui remedy there is. That's all you need. Mm-hmm. It's fun once you decide, I love this space, I want to move here. Okay, what's the address add up to? Okay, that's going to be interesting living here. Mm-hmm. Or let me lay the Bagua Map over it. Okay, so, maybe I'm not going to be traveling much here because my travel gua is missing. So those are things that for me would come after the fact, after the emotion, after that initial vibration of what you feel intuitively. Mm-hmm. And then on the other hand, if you walk into a space and you're like, God, I'm really not feeling this, but my husband loves this home. Now, okay, let me do a little bit, let me do some research. Let me look at the Bagua. Let me add up the address number. Even, things like directional influence are a big thing in Feng Shui. So is this south facing, north facing? You can really start looking at all of those things to see, like, why don't I love this house? Or why do I love this house? But for me, that would always come after your intuition.
Cool. Let's see some more questions coming in. Oh, okay. So a lot of great feedback. Obviously, there's so much information that you gave us. It's amazing because I think regardless, someone will take something out of this presentation to implement. So thank you so much for taking the time to go through all of this. It's so valuable. We do have a couple questions just on you. I know you said that you were going to share a little bit more about you at the end of the presentation, and people want to know if you're willing to share part of your story and what this means to you.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I have wanted to be an interior designer my whole life. So I was like 5 years old and driving in the car with my brothers and sisters, and they would be pointing out like, oh, mommy, look at the dog. And I'd be like, who cares about that dog? Look at that building. And like, my parents are like, what in the world? She's obsessed with architecture and buildings. And, you know, my mom would say, okay, sweetie, you have a birthday party to go to this weekend for, you know, your friend on Saturday. And I'd say, no, I don't really want to go. I'm going to stay home and rearrange the furniture. She's like, what? And so I've just always had this, you know, way of design, wanting to design and moving around my bedroom like so many times, like every week, and somehow realizing that the energy shifts. And I was realizing that as a child. And so when I graduated high school, I immediately went and did an accelerated design program. So it was a 1-year design program at a junior college, and I got my certification in design. And then I thought I wanted to become an architect. So I enrolled in architecture school, and then I realized it was way too much math, and all I actually cared about was what went inside the house after the house was built. And okay, that's interior design. So I was all set up to go get my 4-year degree in interior design. But my mom actually got a job at a university, and one of the benefits was that I got free tuition. So I thought, okay, they don't have interior design, but they have business. And I already have my design certificate. So why don't I get my degree in business? That way I know I want to open my interior design firm one day. So that's what I did. And one of the best things I've ever done in my life was study abroad. And I lived in Paris while I was getting my degree in business. And while I lived in Paris, I studied art, architecture, and design in Europe. And so that was super influential for me, just to see all the different styles and genres of design and how it truly does affect the culture, and affects the neighborhood, it affects the environment. And I really got to see this completely different than America, you know, this old versus new take on how our environments affect us. And when I came back from that, I decided to go work at a design and construction firm in Calabasas, California. And so I was just a design assistant, didn't really know much, but I was excited to learn. And I worked there for about 2 years. And then I became one of the first associate designers for Restoration Hardware. I don't know if you guys have that in Toronto. Yeah. Okay. So Restoration Hardware is like a luxury furniture showroom, and I was designing for them for 4 years, and it was amazing. I got to do so many like big, no budget VIP projects, and I just had so much fun. But after about 4 years, I realized that there was something missing, and that I wasn't feeling fulfilled, and that I felt creatively stifled because I could only use the Restoration Hardware furniture line, and I wanted to do more. So I just decided, I was 25, and I decided, okay, well, there's no time like the present. Let me just go for this. And so I quit. And 2 weeks later, I got the DBA and started a company called DV Design, which is just my initials. And for about a year, I was operating under DV Design, which was luxury residential interior design. And I did amazing projects. I had such a great first year. I thought there's no way this could get better. But after every single project concluded, I felt this unfulfilled feeling, like there's something that I didn't do in this project. Yet I would do the final walkthrough, and all my clients would say, God, you've just changed the energy. This feels so different. I can't put my finger on it, but like you changed us, you changed our family and how we live in this space. And I'm like, great. And then it was really one day that I'm hardcore yogi. I love yoga. And it was one day that I was in yoga and we were doing the Shavasana meditation. And I was thinking, why does my love for spirituality and, my yoga practice and my meditation have to be a separate aspect of my life from design, from my business? And I was laying in this meditation and I realized they're the same thing. I'm the same person, so it's the same thing. And I just saw these words flash across my third eye that said divine design. And I jumped out of Shavasana and I ran to my phone and I just started writing divine design, and I am the divine designer. And I was just channeling. I was just getting these downloads like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to incorporate meditation. I'm going to sit with clients in their space and meditate. And this was about 2 years ago. And ever since then, it's just taken off, and I get new ideas every day. So there's always something that I'm learning and something that I'm, getting excited to bring in to my firm. Like earlier when I was talking about the crystal gridding, that's not something that I technically do yet, but I'm learning how to crystal grid a home, or, the Ayurvedic doshas. That's something I just recently incorporated. So it's just been this evolving business. As my spirituality evolves, my business evolves, because they're the same thing. And it's just been the most amazing thing I could ever imagine. And I feel that it's combining my passion and my purpose, and that's what brings me here.
I love that so much. I think that even when we talk about business and entrepreneurship, being able to connect who you are as a person and your purpose, and not having multiple hats, but just carrying your authentic self and your truth into everything that you do, is such an amazing gift to give to the world and all of your clients and everything that you do. So it's so beautiful that you've been able to do that. And with that, you're always learning, you're always evolving, and then bringing that into your business as well.
It's like the buzzword right now is soulpreneur, right? And so
Yeah.
it's that the whole world is awakening that, what you do for a living doesn't have to be different than, what you're passionate about, what you love to do.
Yeah. Another question is, when living with someone else, how do you balance those energies, those principles, when making sure that you're also accommodating what the other person wants?
Yeah, so it's a great question, because it's more often, it's more common that you are living with other people than living completely by yourself, right? So you have all this completely different dynamic in the house, all these energies colliding and combining. And so what I would encourage you to do is take a look at the home in relation to you as an individual. Take a look at the home in relation to your partner or child as an individual. And then you can look at the overlaps. And okay, we both love this. I dislike that, but she needs that. So can we put this in her room, but maybe not in a shared area? Or, my husband's an extrovert and I'm an introvert. So we have the same bedroom. So how do we balance that? So then it comes down to compromise, and how can we speak to the extrovert while speaking to the introvert? So my initial thought is we would maybe do a paint that's subtle, that speaks to the introvert, and then maybe we do a bold bedding for the husband, for the extrovert. So I think it's just give and take, right? It's what can I live with and what can't I live with, and vice versa. What can he live with and what can't he live with? And so what can I set a designated area of the home, which you should, just for you and just for him and just for our child. And so we all have these individual, separate, sacred spaces to go to when we need just that one-on-one connection with our home and with ourself, versus how to make a shared area accommodating for all the different personality types. And so that's why it's so fun to have so many interior therapies, because you can bring in plants, color, crystals for each different person and create a space that is sort of in harmony with all of those people. Did that help?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's great. And also when she says that, I don't want someone, if your partner is a woman, great, then it's two women. Don't think that when Diana said like him and her, that is how it goes. She just knows that the person that asked the question has a boyfriend. So don't worry if you're in a different situation. It totally is just partner is specific.
And it can also be a roommate too.
Yeah.
A brother, so there are so many different living situations. Yeah. It could be a single mom and her daughter. And so there are so many different situations where you just have to look at yours and then figure it out from there.
Yeah. And another thing that I thought was interesting when we were originally talking is you can also put the Bagua map in each space.
Yep.
So like if you wanted to put the Bagua just in your room, like you can take it to the next level and do that also.
Yeah, it's actually the Bagua, once you start playing with it, it can be super fun because you put this on your desk and put symbolic items on your desk for each of the guas. You can hold it vertically on your closet and be like, okay, what do I want? I want my work stuff in abundance. So it's really diverse. Yeah.
I love that. Awesome. Well, I know we have gone way over, making sure to give you ladies all of the information we could. Honestly, as you can see, Diana could literally talk about this forever, and there's so much to know. So if you have more questions, you want to go in deep, dig deep, chat with Diana one-on-one and or incorporate her in your planning. If you're building a home, if you want to design your whole home, reach out to her. She is all over. She has clients all over the US, Canada, so she can do things virtually. She can come see you. It does not matter. I truly believe that what you're offering, Diana, is so unique, and I know so many women will benefit. We can see in the comments still, people are saying that's such a great webinar. Thank you. So thank you so much for taking the time to go through all of this with us, and follow her on Instagram. We're so excited for us to see what other spiritual elements you continue to include into your practice. And I know I've loved the work that we've done together, and I know you ladies will too. So thanks so much for being here. We are going to sign off, but we will chat with you soon. Diana, do you have anything else to say?
No, I would just say, as the space, so is the person. So just remember that, and set an intention for your home to do by the end of the week, keeping with that new moon energy, new intentions, new goals. And I would just challenge you all to set one intention as it relates to your home and see what happens this week.
Cool. Thank you. Bye, ladies.
Cool.